Hey Zomheads, today we're going to talk about Fear the Walking Dead Season 2, Episode 3, Ouroboros. And if you haven't seen it yet, plop your butt on the couch and turn it on because it's a great episode. So the scene opens up with Alex. It's our survivor from the airplane flight, and obviously that they crashed, and she finds the little boy that she was with, and they join some other survivors in a raft. And the interesting thing about Alex is I think she knows more than what she's letting on, because on the airplane she seemed to have some type of knowledge about them needing to be hit in the head and about other things, you know, that they were going to reanimate and about the bites, but they don't let on yet as to how much she knows. And she is pretty brutal. She killed 2 people because they were threatening to get rid of the boy, and one guy actually tried to knock him out, but before he even got to do it, she was sleeping and she jumped up and stabbed him. So obviously Alex feels like she owes the boy because she took the seat of the kid's mom. This episode was about conflict. Conflict with Strand and Maddie, conflict with Travis and Maddie, conflict with Maddie and the kids. There was a whole bunch of conflict in this episode. So anyway, you see Strand, he can't reach his person in Mexico by phone. Supposedly Strand let known that he has a house there in the hills, or there is a house there in the hills, or there's a well, there's gardens, there's concrete, stainless steel enforced walls, there's food, there's supplies. It made me wonder if this was a shelter. You know, people that have a lot of money, they can buy space at an apocalyptic shelter of some sort. It sort of sounded like that this place was designed for an apocalyptic or end of world event. Conflict you see is between Maddie and Travis. Absolutely no kissies in the apocalypse, right? They're playing kissy kissy in the bed, and then they hear a noise and the boat shut off. Travis wants to go down there and see what's going on because they have to get the boat going, and Maddie's like, no, don't do it, Travis, this is not how we make decisions. Right, because she makes all the decisions. Anyway, so I really liked it when Strand says, hey, your man has made the decision. You know, Maddie does tend to wear the pants in the family and tries to control situations. We talked about that in the last review. So Travis goes down there and he realizes it's clogged. He comes back and Travis and Strand get into conflict. He feels like, the help, the hired hand to get the boat going again. And so Strand had to pretty much say, I'm sorry, due to the situation, my niceties are not in order. I ask you nicely, please. But I think what Travis is not realizing is everybody has roles. And on this boat, Travis is the only one that has some fix-it know-how. And the series kind of set that up because the first episode, the opening scene, we saw Travis fixing the sink. And then in this episode, Travis is talking about carburetors. So we know Travis is the fix-it man. Fix it, Travis. What? Pretty please? Get back to Travis and Maddie. We also see conflict brewing there because he's working on the stuff. She comes down. She's like, hey, we're going to Mexico. By the way, Strand has a house. And he's like, what? Did you decide this? Are we really, this is your decision? Obviously, you're making the decisions. And so again, it's what we always, it's a repeated old story. I'm really wish Maddie would get bitten and just turn into a zombie. That would be much more interesting than seeing her whine and, trying to take control of situations. There's a lot of control issues with her. He pretty much implies that she didn't talk to him, that she's making these decisions. And she's like, well, I want us to be together on this. And he's like, well, we are together, but I don't know where we're going. And she's like, I told you, we're going to Mexico. And he said, well, I didn't mean it that way. I know that's where we're going. I'm meaning, I don't know where we're going. So the last episode, he was in denial. He's kind of hoping that the conflict's going away. This episode, he's recognizing, he's telling her, we've got issues. I don't know where we are going, relationship-wise. And of course, she doesn't respond. She's still in the great denial, the sea of denial. Then we see a little bit of conflict between Daniel and Althea. She's got an injury and it's infected. She doesn't have any more medicine and she wants to ask Maddie for medicine. He's like, no, this is family business. Okay, family, you and her, that's it. You know, you relied on other people for things. What is the issue with keeping the secret? So he talks about how Maddie, you know, if it comes between Alfea and her daughter, who's Maddie going to stick up for? And I'm not really sure where that's going. It seems weird to me. Maybe he's assuming that Alfea is going to get fever and get sick, and that maybe he's worried they'll put her down to protect the rest of the family. I'm not really sure. I know, I'm sorry guys, I keep looking over there. I'm not used to this camera yet. So if my eyes drift, I really am not psychotic. I'm just missing my place to look. Alicia, she sees the luggage, she calls everybody. The kids want to go on shore and they want to go shopping. It's like a scavenger hunt, it's like a flea market, it's like a garage sale, let's go. And so, of course, Maddie's like, no, no, no. And, you know, it was good to see Alicia stand up to her mom. Her mom has been sheltering her for a long time. She totally missed the apocalypse because they wouldn't tell her really what's going on. And she's like, hey, stop putting us at the kids' table. You know, and so she pretty much shuts Maddie down. And so Daniel agrees to take the kids to shore and watch over them. By the way, he's like the worst babysitter ever, okay? And so they go to shore, and the special effects are amazing. I really, really like these special effects. They did a great job. This was a wonderful episode with that. We see Nick scavenging, and he probably is used to that, right? He's probably dumpster dived before, so he's doing a really good job at finding some good stuff. He's giving gifts, gives Daniel something, and he gives his sister something, and he brings something back for Alfea. So this is like totally his element. In this episode, we see them gain knowledge of walkers, you know, especially Nick. He has learned so much about walkers. We've watched him really grow. But this episode, he learned that the blood of the Zoms will mask him. And so there's this real interesting scene where he winds up getting blood on himself because he falls into a pit next to Crab Zombie and winds up killing these zombies that are falling into the pit one after another. And so he saves the group by being covered in Zom blood, and he gets up close and he starts clearing a path for them to run to the boat. And he doesn't follow them right away because he stops, he turns around, and he goes face to face with another Zom. With another Zom? He wasn't a Zom. Okay, he goes face to face with a Zom. And so the interesting thing is Nick is facing death. He's not afraid, but he's turned around and he's looking at one right in the face and he's checking it out. And he's doing this in a very calm, methodical manner. And so he is registering that they cannot detect him or they will not attack him while he's covered with the zombie blood. Nick reminds me a lot of Daryl because he seems to have that past, you know, that Daryl has on The Walking Dead. He's kind, he's rough around the edges, and he's like the Daryl of Fear. So Chris, he wanders off and he finds part of the plane carcass, and he goes in armed with the end of a hockey stick, and there's a couple zombies strapped in the seats. They aren't a threat, but this one guy that he thought was a Zom was not a Zom. He was alive, so he unstrapped him. He's a big man, you know, and he put his arms around the guy and lifted him up, and they fall to the ground. And so the guy was like, please help me, and then Chris like turned the guy and noticed that his spine was actually severed and sticking out of his back. Really gross, but great effects. And so he was confronted with a situation. Here's a human being who's not a zombie, who's not a threat to him, who's suffering, and he's asking Chris for help. In a way, he's kind of faced with the moral decision that his father was faced when his mother said, you know, will you kill me? Now, Chris hasn't had time to process the death of his mother. You know, he's angry, he's sad, he's mad, and he is thrown into this world. And so he still hasn't forgiven his father. He still hasn't processed the situation. And so being faced with this moral, ethical dilemma of what to do kind of, I think, gave him insight as to what his father did. Now, it's not the same thing, but he sits there a while listening to this guy pleading for help, and then he decides to do it. And he doesn't tell anybody. Of course, he wants to tell his half-sister and probably his father what he has done. But because this world, you know, you never know what's going to happen in this world. They don't know that it's the end of the world. A police officer could come and arrest him. Everything could be better tomorrow or next week. And then he's confessed that he's killed somebody. So he's still living under the guidelines of the previous world. And he knows what he did was may be wrong, but maybe it was right considering the situation. So this is going to help move the character forward. It might even lead up to a moment where he tells his father what happened, and then they talk about it and process the whole situation with his father killing his mother and him killing this man. The group meets Alex when she's running down the hill and there's all these zombs following her. And so they take her in the boat towards Abigail, and she winds up also having the child with her. I guess she stashed him somewhere in that floaty boat that they were in. And so they're towing the floaty boat with their floaty boat towards Abigail. And of course, you know, everybody's thinking, oh, the girl, and they'll come on board of Abigail, but though that's not what's going to happen. So Strand kind of has a hissy fit. Alicia is really having a difficult time. She's like, the kid's dying. Well, that's the whole point, right? Strand's trying to protect everybody. Travis is trying to have a win-win situation. Towing the boat was a really good idea. They gave her food, they gave her water, and they towed her. But Strand, he agreed temporarily, and then he came back out and he chop, that rope. And Maddie, she was sort of in disbelief. She's like, what are you doing? Are we going to see Alex again? I don't know. I presume we will, because they wouldn't have gone through all the trouble of having those mini episodes with the airplane only to introduce a character one episode and then chop them off the chopping block. This episode was full of storming, people arguing and conflict. I really like this episode overall. I think the show's getting better and better, although there are people I know that said they don't like it at all. The characters are stupid and unrelatable. We need to keep our eye on Strand. This character is extremely interesting, and Nick and Chris, those three are the shining stars of Fear. Subscribe if you like it. We try to do a whole bunch of different things at ZomTalk. I know we don't have all the bells and whistles as some other channels. All right, Zomheads, I'll talk to you later. Bye!